Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Good afternoon and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. The call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1 to talk to Michael. That'll put you in queue. Today is our Memorial Day celebration 233, and Michael will talk a little bit more about that. We already have a bunch of people on the switchboard, a couple of people in the chat room. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, sweetie. Welcome to the show, everybody. Beautiful day in Fort Lauderdale. If you hear a little bit of noise in the background, I am just driving to my destination, life on the road. Lots happening around the work, and the idea of forgiveness is catching on planet-wide like wildfire, and it's really an interesting horse to ride as it grows. And when Jeanie mentioned the whole idea of honoring Memorial Day, our commitment is literally to put an end to war on planet Earth, which, of course, the average person would say, how ridiculous is that? That's never going to happen. That's been going on for too long. Well, I think that's a fraud that we bought into, and, of course, if we buy into the fraud, we perpetrate the fraud. We're going to change it. Here's how we're going to change it. You and I are going to say to ourselves today, instead of blaming somebody else for this fear or this hostility that goes on in our minds, you and I are going to say, every time this has happened to me, I've been there. There's always been somebody different to blame. Maybe nobody else is to blame. Maybe this is mine. Maybe, just maybe, this is about me. I think I'll do some forgiveness work and see what happens. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness has nothing to do with letting somebody else off the hook because your mind generates some form of hostility or fear. You'll notice that if you have hostility or fear, any object of attention will do. The driver driving down the road, the child that is stubborn, the parent that is not cooperative, the spouse that just happens to, do the smallest or the largest thing. And in each case, we pin our hostility or fear on them and bypass the fact that it's coming from our physiology. One of my favorite tongue-in-cheek lines in the workshop is, if they're the one with the problem, why are you the one with the pain? Now, we're not saying they don't have a problem, but strictly speaking, their problem is none of your business if you're in hostility or fear because your own perception is clouded. And what we're looking to do is to do the actual work of the man named Yeshua, who was about showing people how to end the clouds in their minds and how to have a clear space and direct experience of love. What is that thing called love? Well, if you hold a newborn child, you know exactly what love is. And what we're looking to do is to support you in embodying your newborn state instead of whatever you're blaming somebody else for. Now, if that's an appealing idea to you, and some people will just laugh at that, you're nuts, Bryce. Well, maybe I'm nuts, but when I listen to the people and I watch the people that pick this tool up and put it to work, and I watch the drama and the trauma and the people that are on the verge of murder or suicide, who within mere days change their lives, then I know it's no fantasy. This is the way it works. And the tool called forgiveness is the way that you change what's happening inside yourself. And so if you'd like to access that tool, please go to our website, www.whyagain.com. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. The first 4 links will give you the whole forgiveness story. Please, go to that link, download the worksheets, start to do them. By the way, if there's anybody that's in the South Florida area, we just finished doing a series of workshops in Fort Lauderdale, and we had a spontaneous worksheet session in Boca Raton at a really cool place called the Heart Painter Studio, a place that belongs to a woman named Evelyn Balin. And on Wednesday, tomorrow night, it's Tuesday already, tomorrow night, we will be doing another worksheet session at 5 o'clock at the Heart Painter Studio. We're going to just get right in and dig into worksheets. So it'll be a Mind Shifter support group, 5 o'clock, Boca Raton, Florida. And if you're in the South Florida area, come and join us. We would be delighted to have you with us. So, Jeanie, do we have anything happening in the chat room? Any callers? Dr. Tim with us? David with us? Lots of questions I have.
Okay, nothing's going on in the chat room yet. David is with us, Tim is not, and we already have a caller with their hand up.
Okay, well, let's just say a quick hello to David. We missed him on the show the other day, and David and I have been playing telephone tag, and it's just it's been just wonderfully crazy here. I did well, anyway, David, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, and I know that you are busy. It's great that there's so many people that are eagerly awaiting to hear some new information and to maybe make some shifts and dissolve some illusions that may be going on for them. So I'm doing well. Sounds like it's going to be a hot show today.
The other night after we finished the worksheet session, it was fun. Some of us were going to go see a movie, and the woman who owns the Heart Painter Studio was like, "No, I'm going home to do worksheets." Like, all right. And by 11 o'clock, well, she was on the show yesterday, but anyway, it's just fun to watch people make that breakthrough and go, "Oh, this is what I need to deal with, my own dissociated mind," and to break through it. It's awesome.
Yeah, watching her own movie.
So, do you have any thoughts to share with us, David?
Well, what I was just saying was, yeah, she was decided to watch her own movie rather than to go watch one that was made up on the screen there. You know, to me, that's what this is about. It's really about me taking a look at my life, how it is that I hold beliefs and see things. It's not real. It's just what's going on in my mind, which is really the illustration of what happens in movies and all that. So it's great that she decided to go see a 5-star movie and working on herself.
Very cool. Well, let's see what our caller has to say. Jeanie? By the way, I'm glad your throat is feeling better and that your voice is able to speak. Yesterday, everybody on the show was holding your throat in love and support and helping you to clear out those layers that are coming up from all that's going on in your world.
Right at this very moment, I can't say that it's better, but I'm holding the space that it's getting better. We have several people in the 954 area code online. This one is 954551 is the first 3 numbers of your phone number, and you're on the air. Who do we have?
Hi, Jeanie. Hi, Michael. It's Evelyn.
Hey, Evelyn.
Hey, I was just talking about you. Hey, young lady.
I know. I'm listening to you. That's why I got on. I was like, okay, I'll talk to you.
So tell us,
and I'm sitting right here, right. I'm sitting in front of some worksheets right now.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a huge shift for me it's only been, a day, 2 days that we spoke when we had that impromptu worksheet meeting at the Heart Painter.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm seeing some interesting things happen in my life. So and I've been telling everybody in the world that I pass, which could be a lot of people at sometimes that do these reality management worksheets. It's deep. So
yeah. Once you've got the brain cells for forgiveness, it's absolutely awesome. What you can move out of your life, isn't it? That of course. The mind, this illusion that our mind creates that what's going on inside of me is caused by and the fault of somebody else. Until you can crack that game that the mind plays, it's quite a trauma. And then once you start to crack it, it's actually fun to start to move through those things, isn't it? To delve in and go, oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
And I'm seeing it in such a short period of time, which is amazing to me. So that's great. I can, right away I see, I need a worksheet on that one. And it's good. Very good. So
very
I'm excited
cool.
that you're going to be coming and doing the first support group tomorrow at 5 o'clock at the studio with the Heart Painter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being there and working with the group. I think we should probably have quite a group there. And
what a blessing we have you here and doing this, for us. Wow. It's going to be amazing. Yes.
Well,
otherwise you're not around and we have to do it on our lonesome.
Well, that's why we do what we do, and in past ages, certainly there are easier ways to do life than the way we do it. However, in past ages, when people were out there supporting with this type of energy and understanding and movement, it was 1,000 times harder than it is today, and it's a challenge sometimes to tap in and to move around the country the way we do, but if we can touch people like we're touching you and the folks that were there, just that small group, and each one reaches one, then we are shifting the energy toward a world where blame can disappear, and that means that war is going to disappear. It's like, all right, I can take a little extra stress in order to create that on planet Earth. When I look at the craziness that's gone on and the cost to children and relationships and finances and cultures, and it's worth the investment.
Wow.
So I'm delighted that you're there and holding the space and creating the space, and looking forward to being there.
Yeah, what I find amazing, though, is you talk about stress. I don't see an ounce of stress on you or Jeanie. When you guys walk around, it's just pure love walking. What can I say?
Well, we do have our moments and our opportunities, too. We're no different than anybody else. And hopefully, as we keep doing our work, we keep clearing the layers and clearing the layers and clearing the layers. And that's what it takes. And it's, when you look at the size of what each of us carries around inside of us, the depth and the dimension of it, people think, oh, well, I've done this for a year or 2 years or 5 years or even 10 years. It's like, okay, good. Now you've scratched the surface. That information that I shared the other day about that was given to me by an ophthalmologist, and his take was that and this guy was using light energy to stimulate the brain, and that the number of connections in a human brain is 800 times the known molecules in the universe. And when you look at that neural net and the structure that's there, a year or 2 or 5 or 10 is hardly scratching the surface. And I know that, for instance, Saturday I was doing the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing workshop, and there was some questions and stuff going on, and I had some stuff come up for me, and I had to call a halt and say, hey, guys, would you just hold for a second? And I went over and started 2 worksheets, because you don't get this done in a hurry. It's a process.
Yes. I've been in personal development for over 20 years, and it's, I realize it's an everyday thing. It's like what you say all the time. You brush your teeth every day. You take a shower, right? Most days, right? Hopefully.
Right.
You have to cleanse inside, Clear the head, clear the mind.
Yeah, if you look at all the hostility and fear in the world, it's no different than if people didn't wash and shower their bodies, things would stink pretty badly. And when people don't wash and shower their minds, when they don't forgive, the world stinks pretty badly. And if you look at what people are doing to each other on the planet, it's pretty stinky. It's pretty raunchy.
So it's all forgive. It's forgiving everything. Talking to somebody and not feeling comfortable forgiving. Forgive yourself for that.
Yeah. And of course, we're changing the conversation about how we forgive another or forgive ourselves and moving in the direction of, I need to, if I have some form of hostility or fear that I'm capable of generating, I need to let that loose from me, and that's the real forgiveness work. So glad to have you on the team and to be working with you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much for all that you do for the planet. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll listen to the rest of your show. I'll be here. I've got it marked every day to listen to your show, so I plan on being there quite often. That's the plan.
Very cool. Thanks for the call, Evan. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Take it easy now, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. By the way, the group that will get together tomorrow night to do worksheets at the Heart Painter Studio, it's in Royal Palm Plaza, just south of Meisner Center on Federal Highway. So
right, and they can get the directions on. Am I still on, Michael? They can get the directions on theheartpainter.com. Go to the directions page on theheartpainter.com.
Perfect. It's kind of hidden in there, so good if people will pick up the directions, and makes it easier to find. It's in one of the center.
All right, you'll find it on theheartpainter.com. Thanks again. I'll be listening. Thanks, Mike. Bye, Jenny. Jeanie.
Bye. Thanks, Evelyn.
Bye.
Okay, we do have another caller.
Cool, go for it.
Area code, and there's several from this area code as well, 517930. You're on the air.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. This is Leah from Lansing, Michigan. I was calling for some advice, if you would be willing.
I'm here to support you. How can we help?
Well, my family situation is this. So I live in Lansing, and the rest of my family lives together elsewhere. And my brother and his girlfriend had a baby a couple of years ago. And she had a son from a previous relationship. And they all live with my parents. And I was calling for some advice regarding the son from a previous relationship. So he's 7 now. He moved in to our family when he was 5. And he's a really challenging kid sometimes to be around. And we were hoping it would get better in time. You know, he's been at my parents' house now for 2 years, and we were hoping he had a more stable environment and got some therapy that in time he would settle down a bit. And he definitely has gotten a lot better. And we do have him. He's recently started doing the child's worksheet with my brother, who is his functional father at this point. But he still has a lot of issues. He's very hostile. He can be really abusive to his brother if he isn't watched all the time. And I was just wondering if you had any advice about how to, one, clear up the issue around him. So I've been doing worksheets on my frustration with the situation and feeling hopeless about him getting better, and also some advice on how to help him overcome his past and become a kid that is easier to be around, because I know he has trouble making friends in school, and I know that he feels that it's hard for us sometimes.
Well, the first order of business that everybody around him who has any form of frustration or anxiety that is resonated by his behavior, the most awesome gift that each person could give to that child is to be responsible for and clean that up in themselves. So if I watch the child and he's being abusive with his brother, and I want to abuse him, which is pretty much the normal response when we watch an abuser, most people want to abuse. And so if I project my desire to abuse on the child that's being abusive, I just increase the energy of abuse in the family system. When I can stop and go, whoa, what I want to do is just lash out just like he did, and I expect him to do something different than what's going on inside of me. Even if I don't lash out, if I lash out verbally, or even if I just lash out in my thoughts, I am part of what supports him in being that abuse because I hold that energy of abuse in me. So the first order of business would be what's up inside of me that I can clean up to open the space to actually support him in cleaning up. A lot of times it'll be a dynamic where the child plays out what the family system doesn't admit or deal with. And that can be a big one to break through. And, of course, that's fabulous that they're doing the child's worksheet with him and teaching him forgiveness. You know, the word discipline in our culture is thought of as, you know, if you can just properly beat a child up, then, you know, everything's going to be okay. But the word discipline comes from the word disciple. It means properly taught. And so as you properly teach the child's internal dynamics will shift and change, and you'll see something different showing up from that child. So I'd say that everybody around a child who has frustration, fear, anger, or verbal, emotional, abusive energy around watching the child's behavior, there's where the forgiveness needs to happen first and foremost.
Okay. So you don't think that it really is his issue, then? You think it's our issue?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, you know, there's the old saying that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. What I'm saying is that everybody's involved in the game. Instead of laying it all off on the child, it's for each person to take responsibility and to start to move whatever's going on in themselves around what's going on with the child. So no, in no way, shape, or form am I saying it's not the child's issue. Obviously, the child's got some abusive energy going on, and like everybody, probably came by it honestly.
Yeah, well, we at least suspect that he was being abused in the house that he lived in before he came to ours.
Yeah. So as I forgive my frustration, fear, anger, anguish around his abuse toward his brother, I open a space for him to do the same. And that's my piece of the work. Then as I support him in learning forgiveness, as I support him in being able to tap into and can discipline him. And discipline, again, doesn't mean properly beat up. It means properly taught. So when I can properly teach him that, okay, abusive energy, you want to lash out at your brother. Do you like it when people lash out at you? Well, no, I don't like that. Well, then do you suppose that that's the right kind of thing to do? And as you start to speak words that help the child to understand that loving, gentle behavior is what he wants, and the child's commitment can be very useful. If you go to the website, there's a commitment on the website to work with children, and there's a little poem that says, I am somebody. And if you give the children the I am somebody, when they start to see themselves differently than what they've been taught by their culture, be it their school culture, their family system, the television set teaches the child a lot about how to behave. And, if you look at it, so much of it's abusive.
Yeah.
So discipline, meaning properly taught, coming from the word disciple, and most humans learn by example and by language. And so as I give the example, when I see the child being physically abusive or verbally abusive with his brother, when I give him the example of, come here, here, sit down on my knee, let's have a conversation, and I'm in a gentle state, I model for him that when he's not doing what I want, I can maintain a space of love and connectedness. That modeling will transfer to him. And when his brother isn't doing what he wants him to do, and you'll notice it's always based on a goal, then he's going to start to build the brain cells for, I can embrace my brother in love rather than go into the abuse that I've been shown. And so the dual process of modeling something different. If I'm in frustration over his behavior toward his brother, I first need to forgive my frustration. Then when I can embrace the child and say, hey, come here, sit in my lap for a minute, let's talk about this. We need to be loving and gentle and respectful with each other, and especially with your brother. When you yell at him like that, it doesn't feel good for him, and it probably doesn't feel good in your body. So, let's understand that when you yell at him, you get an energy in your body, and as you start to teach him and build the brain cells, and as you show him how to forgive, that's the children's worksheet, then you're going to see that dynamic change. We had a young man at Heartland a few years ago. He was 5, and he would be, in terms of the categories, the labeling that's done in our school systems and such, he would be hyperactive, learning disabled, and behavior disordered to the max. This kid was 5, and, he was so off the wall, it was just unbelievable. And each of his parents spent a year at Heartland. His dad did the first year. Mom stayed with the kids. She would come and visit, but, the second year, Mom came and did the program while Dad stayed with the kids. And all the while, they're teaching the kids forgiveness. 2 years later, this young man, his name's Seth, is one of the most respectful, gentle, nurturing kids I've ever seen. And his parents really worked with him a lot. It takes a lot to change that family dynamic. But this young man actually was kind of interesting. We were in an intensive, and somebody was using, we teach the language of responsibility, and someone talked about how somebody else made them angry, and Seth was actually sitting over in the corner playing with some other kids, and you don't even know he's listening, and all of a sudden, when this person talks about how somebody else made them angry, Seth pipes up in this, well, just this morning, my sister, she bringed up my anger.
Yeah, I remember Walter's story.
Who's teaching the adult that his anger is his responsibility, it's not his sister's anger. And I was shocked when Seth said that. It's like, well, Seth, what did you do then? He said, I just asked my mother for a worksheet. But you've got to have the brain cells. A child can't function on the brain cells they don't have. Modeling and language are 2 ways to help the child build the brain cells.
Okay. Well, thank you for those additional suggestions. I like that, and I like the idea of using the commitment with them. We haven't done that, so.
Yeah, go to the website, The Commitment, and I Am Somebody. The I Am Somebody is awesome because it teaches the child that they're loved. And instead of what our culture generally teaches children, you're just a lump of protoplasm that happened to happen in the universe and you're here to be used by us for our purposes. It teaches the child something different. And children, there's that old adage that says children will learn what they live. And so we hold the space for the healing of that family dynamic, and probably everybody in his sphere of influence is going to make some shifts as a result of the healing that he'll do.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Delighted. Blessings.
Bye.
Jeanie? Is your mute button on?
It is. We have a Skype caller. You're on the
cool.
air.
Skype, come on in. Where are you calling from? Give us a name.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
I'm here.
Got you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I am calling from California.
Awesome. And your name is? Just give us a first name.
Louisa.
Alicia?
Louisa.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm understanding. It's Lisa?
No, Louisa.
Okay, it's a little hard to understand you, but go ahead. Do you have a question for us, a thought?
It's the first time I'm calling, and since I saw, it said about angels and stuff like that, so I was just wondering what you saw, because I've been single for 1.5 years, so I was just wondering what you guys saw.
Okay, well, there are a couple of different shows on this network, on the Angel Talk Network, and the show that you're actually wanting to do to get kind of intuitive readings is actually Carol Guy's show, and she's on Monday mornings from 11 till noon, and she's on Fridays from noon until 1 o'clock, and our show's right after that. And so you might want to call. She does those intuitive type readings. Our focus is a little different on this show. We're here to support people in forgiveness work. So if you call between 12 and 1 on Friday and 11 and 12 on Monday, you'll be able to talk to Carol Guy, and that's kind of her thing to do. Ours is a little different focus.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Delighted to have you with us. Thank you.
We don't have
Jeanie?
any other callers. We do not have any other callers right now. If you'd like to call in, their number is 646-200-4169. Press 1 if you want to talk to Michael. It lets us know to put you in queue. And there's no questions in the chat room. Everybody's just kind of sitting and listening. So
cool. Well, we just came out of a commitment. David had his brain tuned to 40 days before the end of the year and invited a group of people, and I'm not sure exactly how many, but I think about 30 people or so kind of amped up their commitment and were willing to do 5 worksheets a day for the 40 days going into the end of the year. And so maybe we want to chat with David because the people he was working with directly one-on-one were amping their commitment up a little more. So, David, do you have any thoughts on anything to share with us on what the group is doing with that, and an invitation to anybody that's on the show? I know I've got 3 or 4 new people who are texting me every day as a result of this week, texting that they've completed their 5, including Evelyn. So it's cool to see it moving forward like that.
Yeah. A couple of things, Michael. One is that there have been a few people, and maybe Chuck or Patrick are on the line if they want to come into the conversation. I was talking with Chuck this morning, and Patrick and him have decided to continue it. And so they're still doing their 5. And I talked with Marie this morning, and she's doing 5+, and there are a couple of people that are doing them 1, 2, and 3, and 4 at a time, not necessarily making the commitment to do 5 for 40 days, which is great, whichever way that someone chooses to do that. Making a commitment with a group of people for one specific intention and purpose adds a different type of energy to doing the worksheets, and also the commitment and the connection of support, so that there are several people that are still continuously doing the worksheets. They are committed to doing it for a set period of time and connecting with someone in reference to doing the work. So my recommendation is that you can go look at the website and you can check out Building the Brain Cells, or to connect with someone through the show and make a commitment to doing a certain number of worksheets and or using the other tool, or check out the game itself and connecting with another person and making an agreement with another person and or group is what's vital. We may look at doing that down the road, see if there wants to be another group of people that want to commit for another 40 days in order to do that. So that's part of it. It's part of the growing part of it. I like the story that you used, Michael, with the car parked on a hill and seeing something and knowing what to do. And I think that may be in reference to when do I do my work, how do I do my work, and that's what this is about. So, is there any comments or questions in the chat room? Or maybe Chuck is online. Does anybody want to raise their hand that just did this work?
We do have a hand up, but there's also some conversation in the chat room now. There's 3 of us that are in the chat room that are feeling yuck or low or tired or whatever. And so I was just talking about what the healing crisis, that when energies are locked in physically, they have to come out if we're truly going to heal. So when we're doing processing, going through the worksheets or whatever, physically, mentally, emotionally, it's all got to come out. And so that healing crisis is very typical. We had a caller from the Oregon area that was on with their hand up, but they've disappeared. So if they'll call back in, But in the meantime, we've had one from area code 828 pop in. So 828, you're on the air.
Hi, how are you? This is Magda.
Hi, Magda.
Hi, young lady. Welcome.
Hi. I hope you're both doing well.
We are, and for those who don't know Magda, Magda is one of our newest neighbors at Heartland. She just bought a piece of property about a quarter of a mile down the road from Heartland, and we're just excited and delighted to have you and Chuck as our neighbors.
I am so excited to be here. We both are, and we're settling in little by little. I'm calling today because I have a couple of questions on your newest, I hope I've got your newest worksheet here. One is a question that I've been thinking about for quite a while, and the other one is brand new with this version. The older question is at the bottom, because this hasn't changed from other worksheets, where in the very last step it says, I acknowledge us for creating truth and perfect love. And I have been, for a long time, as I do my worksheets, wanting to say, I acknowledge us for revealing the truth. So I'm wondering what your take is on that. Whoops, did I lose
Michael,
you?
we can't hear you.
Oh, you can't
excuse me, I have my mute button on, but no, I'm in agreement with you. That's a great great refinement, and that we're willing to reveal and to look at the truth is awesome.
Yeah, okay, because the way I took it or understand it is the truth is the truth. It is not my reality, it is the truth. So it's always there. Okay, all right, and then the other question I have is, up in 1B, okay, and it says, my feeling, and then it says, use a separate sheet for each and recall, blah, 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 the rest of it. So using a separate sheet for each feeling, I'd like you to tell me more about that, because I'm used to loading up all of the feelings that are going on at the same time about an issue, and this is very different.
Yes, well, what the idea there is that each feeling, when we recognize that feelings are shadows of thoughts, each feeling that comes forward is going to be a result of a different thought, and therefore it comes from a different file in the mind. And as I recognize that, and I will see that, in order to produce this hologram that we call what looks like the whole world out of this body-mind unit, we have to have, who knows, 1 million files firing at once to produce this whole image. And in each file, there's a link, there's a thought that keys in, and if the thought produces some form of hostility or fear, each file that you can collapse is going to give you a different insight and a different piece of forgiveness work to do. So we specifically separated that out in this current worksheet to invite you, and basically what I've been doing when I'm doing worksheets is I keep a stack of them there, and I'm doing one, and you've probably heard me talk about the idea of the Hydra before. In Greek mythology, the Hydra was this creature that when you cut off one of its heads, another 5 or 10 heads appeared. And so when you start forgiving, when you let go of one issue, you tend to start to see other issues that were under the surface but were invisible.
Absolutely.
And so I just keep the sheets there, and when I realize that I've got fear about this one, I've got some frustration, I've got some anger, my fear comes from a different part of my mind than my anger and my frustration. My anger different, my frustration different. And if I do a sheet on each of those, then I'm going to go to a greater depth in the process than if I do them all linked together and try to just treat it as one issue or one item. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, yes, absolutely. As you were speaking, I was becoming aware that even though I have listed maybe 3 or 4 different emotions feelings that have come up around an issue, I'm sure that on each of those worksheets I've only really dealt with one of them. So I love the idea of having the other worksheets there and just knowing that, okay, that's going to be my next one because I'm also feeling this, but I need to deal with the first feeling that comes up, probably the most prominent one, and then the next feeling and the next feeling. Yeah, thank you. That was very good.
Yeah, I've sat down and done one worksheet, and I end up with as many as 8 other worksheets out of it, and each one is a different feeling and therefore a different thought behind it.
I believe that. Yeah, I can see that perfectly. Well, wonderful. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, so that's it for me.
So how is your moving in process going?
Oh, very, very good. We're being quite gentle with ourselves. We're not pushing at all. We're relaxing and doing what seems to be the next project and opening a box here and there and moving furniture. And Chuck's been real busy setting up his workshop. And we're just going to start on enriching the garden today. So we're excited, and it's all beautiful.
So are you telling me that, in fact, doing this is not giving you any opportunities to learn forgiveness? Well, that's awesome.
I didn't say that.
You won't go that far.
Yeah, those worksheets are going right along.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
it's fun.
Fabulous.
A lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing the two of you when you return.
Yes. We're looking forward to being back and getting to play with you guys some more.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for the show. We're going to continue listening online, okay?
All right. Is Chuck there? Chuck got anything to share with us?
Hold on. He's over there by the computer. Let's see. Well, thank you for the show. We're going to see when you're listening online. No, he's just in deep meditation right now, listening to your show. And
awesome.
Okay.
All right,
so be well.
You. All right, lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, dear.
All right.
We have 2 more callers.
Awesome. Go for it.
Well, actually, one just hung up, so if you'll call back in, you were next on. So now we have area code 541. 541.
Yes, hello, it's me, Julie.
Hi, Julia.
Hi there, young lady.
Hi, you guys. Okay, I just had some people at my door, so I might not stay on too long. I'm having help getting my taxes done, so yay. But I wanted to talk to you about that as I'm removing more and more blockages to truth, it's getting exciting but scary again in the sense that it really uncovers. I mean, the more my willingness is there, so much uncovers so fast. And then I'm in the immensity of possibility of the power of my life, which is what I've been running from my whole life. So I wondered, I mean, I get excited because I get all kinds of creative suggestion of how to apply myself in life, and it all seems too big and too scary, but nevertheless true because it just got uncovered, and there it is. There I am. So my next worksheet would be how to not cover that up, or I don't think I can hold that back anymore. So now what do we do?
Well, it sounds like some of your next worksheets are going to be on life being too big and too scary.
Oh,
and
okay,
as you
thank you.
the idea that there's fear to be had about life, then what will happen is you'll get a new level of the ability to embody your human life. The definition we use for life is, as I know you know, but for those who are new to the show, the definition we use for life is hold a newborn child. If fear is present, our newborn state tends to dissipate and disappear. And so when fear comes up, Paul spoke about a couple of thousand years ago, we see as though through a glass darkly. We literally darken everything that we look at with that fear-based reality. And so if fear comes up, there's the opportunity to go, oh, okay, so now my mind has some fear about how I'm going to create my life. I think I'll forgive, rather than blame life. And when we say the words, when we shift our language, the mind shows us reality differently. When I say life is really scary, what I'm doing is I'm dissociating from the fear I have within me, and I'm blaming it on life. When I go, when life comes along with these new, big, huge opportunities, I have fear come up, then I can own that dissociated fear. I can forgive that cloud in my mind, and then I'll just have clarity in that area of my life. A whole new game starts to happen when I do that.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, so my worksheet would be on life is big and scary, and I work towards owning the resonance in me, because I never was cultivated in another way. And then I from a new place of clarity, I am open to a new cultivation, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I have a whole new opportunity, and the opportunity is one to embrace, well, here I've got this whole huge life to live. How exciting, what am I going to do with it? If you look at the newborn child and you watch the small child grow, what the world does is pound into it its beliefs. But, if you watch the child before it before it becomes socialized and learns what it's supposed to do in order to keep everybody happy, the small child can get excited about what's in his diaper and painting,
Yeah.
which is not very acceptable to the adult, not culturally acceptable. But if we can teach the child what's acceptable without taking away that enthusiasm, without pounding that enthusiasm out of it, either with our thoughts, our words, or our feelings, or in a lot of cases, sadly, with fists, if we can support the child being in that enthusiasm, well, we teach them, well, Johnny, here's how our culture works. Here's why it works that way. How about if we and so we teach the child and support the child living in enthusiasm. And that word, if you break down the word enthusiasm, it means in theos. That means in God. That we're designed to live in that. And what happens is when the child gets enthusiastic about something that the adults around it don't appreciate with the same enthusiasm, the adult tends to suppress the child with its lack of enthusiasm and or try to drive the enthusiasm out of the child. And that creates pain. And, of course, there's a whole system we go through in the Empowered to Heal workshop where we lay out a chart, because when the child is forced out of its enthusiasm, when it's forced to give up its enthusiasm, it goes into pain. And, of course, I don't know how many others have had this, but I can remember being a child and being told, standing there in tears and being told, well, if you don't stop that crying, I'll give you something to cry for. So the child even has its pain pounded out of it, its ability to feel pain. And, there's a whole driving the child into an unconscious state. And so when the child's in pain, if we can, and of course this applies to ourselves, if we're in pain, if we can create the space of support to go, wow, I've got some really deep pain here, and I need to process through it to return to my enthusiasm. And if I can teach the child who's in pain, instead of be strong like your daddy, be a man,
mm-hmm.
or big girls don't cry, which means I'm going to lock that energy into them, the child ends up in the state called propitiation, and that is they do the right thing for the wrong reason. And every time you do the right thing for the wrong reason, you're in a state of dis-ease. Dis-ease, a lack of ease. You're designed to be in enthusiasm and ease. And so processing all those things that have been going on for so many generations and arriving at the truth of us is really what the work is about.
Mm-hmm. Oh, could you say that last sentence again? It's what our life is about. Arriving.
Yeah,
okay.
Arriving at the truth of who we are And living in theos is what life is about. We're designed to live in the active presence of the love of God. That's a human life. And life tends to pound it out of us. And so the return looks like the undoing of everything that's been pounded into us in order to pound the life out of us.
Mhm.
I remember a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. It looks the same, only we now know that love is present within us, helping to dissolve that which previously was pounded into us. It's now serving to remove it. The love is dissolving and
exactly.
Okay.
Let me share a story with you. I remember several years ago I was on an airplane, and I'm sitting beside Joe Businessman, and behind us is this little boy who's maybe 3, might be 4. And he is just so excited about being on an airplane for the first time. I mean, this kid is bubbling over with enthusiasm. And, of course, a little kid at that age in enthusiasm is not exactly restricted. He hasn't been socially yet beaten into you don't bump the seat of the person in front of you, so he's moving around and kicking his legs, and, he's just excited. And I can see him through the crack of the seat and the grin on his face and the enthusiasm and the aliveness and just the pure joy. And this guy sitting beside me, every time the child's foot hit his seat, a little jiggle, like, so what? This guy is becoming more and more enraged by the second. I mean, if it had been socially acceptable, he'd have turned around and throttled this kid, I'm sure. I mean, he was just in pure rage every time. At least that was my projection of it. That's how it looked to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that I would suspect that if we were able to get this man, instead of holding his breath and having rage built, if we had been able to get him to breathe, he would probably be able to go back and touch into being the 3-year-old who was so excited about something and somebody in rage pounded him down. And so his pain and his rage is probably exactly what he absorbed from his power person around being enthusiastic about life. And you watch how people walk around. I mean, when you really think about, I'm sitting in Fort Lauderdale right now. I see these beautiful green palm trees and bushes. I'm looking up into a bright, sunny sky, white puffy clouds, absolutely beautiful blue. And I get to live a human life. I get to have this form that moves around the planet in ways that kings and queens for all of history couldn't do. I mean, I was just up in another city an hour's drive away from here, probably further than most people in their whole lives on the planet have ever been from home. I was 40 miles away. I think up until the last century, people probably never went more than, a half a mile or a mile from home, most of them. I get to do that every day if I want. I get to, instead of 40 miles away being a 4-day trek and dangerous, I get to do it in an hour. And I get to play with Evelyn at the Heart Painter Studio. I get to chat with and play with Carol, who lives here, who sponsors the radio show on the Angel Network. I get to talk to you. Here you are. What are you, 3,500 miles away?
Yep.
Awesome thing that my friend Julie, who I just met 6 months ago, who sponsored our workshops out there, that I get to I mean, what a thing to be excited about. And I get to talk to you from 3,500 miles away.
And I'm looking out my window at a beautiful place on the planet, too, enjoying that I get to live this life and that God is seeing it as good, and we get to create more of it.
And, you get to, or I get to go and pull out a DVD, and when you look at that DVD, you look at, let's say it's one of my DVDs, you're looking at the end result of 40 years of my life's work in a 2-hour DVD. You're looking at the end result of plastics manufacture. I mean, how many millions of hours went into being able to create that? You're looking at the technology that took how many human hours to produce a camera to be able to do a video how many hours to create the machinery, to create the sound, the music, the musicians on that have how many hours to learn to play an instrument. I mean, we're looking at, I get to access something that's got probably 2 million hours of human creativity in 2 hours of my time and enjoy it. And people actually have reasons to be angry about what's going on in their world. Duh, hello?
Yeah.
Like, let's wake up, folks. What are we doing to ourselves? I mean, we have such an awesome place and such an awesome opportunity, but if in my mind I've got hostility or fear, I only look out and see through the filters I've got set in my mind. When I learned that this man Yeshua 2,000 years ago taught that the most important law to human existence was to be able to set a new filter so that I could look out through eyes that weren't clouded by hostility or fear, and I could see the awesome beauty of, I get to look at my spouse and this awesome, beautiful face and this lovely woman that I cherish. What an opportunity is this? And yet people over, what one might call the smallest or the greatest offense find a reason to puke on somebody. Hello, folks, wake up. The only reason you're puking is because you have puke in you. It's not about whoever or whatever you're looking at. It's like, let's give it up and get back to a human life. How do you do that, Michael? If you come from a bloodline of all kinds of manipulation and fear and murder and hatred and vengeance and, nice words but vicious behaviors, what do? Well, you put the pen to the paper and you begin the forgiveness process. You change the content of that neural network that you carry from your bloodline, where you are the top of the chain of your bloodline. And if your bloodline hasn't understood the awesome opportunity to look out at a blue sky and a green tree in the sunshine and have a human life that's made of love, then you've got some forgiveness to do. And for those who maybe have just tapped into the show, on the right-hand side of the website, whyagain.com, there's a link that says download worksheets. The first 4 links will tell you exactly how to forgive, exactly how to change those dynamics in your mind so that you wake up in the morning and instead of saying, which many people do, good God morning, you get to wake up and go, good morning, God. What an awesome opportunity to live a human life.
That's great. Thank you, Michael. Thank
Delighted.
you so much. And thank you for your millions of hours of time, your 40 years, too, for consolidating and creating a worksheet that actually does keep us on track. If we follow it, it works.
It does. If we put it to work in our lives, it's amazing what we can dump and what we can get rid of. And of course, here's another awesome thing is for all the years we've been doing this work, if we went to a city, like your city, and fortunately you started a Mind Shifter support group, or 2 of them, in 2 different cities right near you, but in some cities that never happened. And here we are now with the technology. I mean, how many millions of human hours of genius and intelligence and blood, sweat, and tears are we sitting on top of for you to be able to hear my voice and for us to have a Mind Shifter support group on the radio 5 days a week for an hour a day, that we can take the actual teachings of the man named Yeshua and we can put them in a real form where people can actually use them to change their lives and live in this awesome space of a human life. What a privilege and what an honor. And we get to support people all over the globe. I mean, what has it taken? Somebody today right now in Asia is probably on the show. I don't have the chat room in front of me, but somebody in Asia is listening. Somebody in Europe is listening. Somebody in China is listening. Many states in Canada are listening. People in South America are listening. What does it take to do that?
Michael?
And can I step into the appreciation for my human life and the opportunity to do all that? And our hour's already gone, so I'm going to...
Before you go,
somebody to the show with everybody tomorrow. Bring a stranger and create the best year yet of your eternal life. That's what we're here to support you with.
Michael, one more time real quick before you go. The chat room wants to know what time is the support group in Boca tomorrow night, and are you definitely going to? And are you going to be there in person?
I am the person who's going to be doing the support group at 5:00 at the Heart Painter Studio on Wednesday night. We're going to do a worksheet process, and we don't have to do the closure session, the closure thing on the show today. That's okay. So we'll be doing that at 5:00 tomorrow. Yes, I'll be there personally teaching and working with the worksheet and supporting worksheet questions. Bring a stranger with you. And blessings. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.